There are three frames through which we can look at this budget. The political frame, the strategic frame and the cyclical frame all matter for the outlook in their own way. Let's consider the first. The budget is always an economic document with a wrapping of politics, but this year it also comes with an electoral bow. This is the economic line in the sand both major parties will use for the election due sometime over the next 2 months. The line item decisions taken but not yet announced gives a sense of how much additional policy the current government might announce through the campaign. This is largely a wash on the revenue side. There are costs to some years, but also returns in others. On the expenditure side, they cost around $400 million a year as a rough average. That's a fraction of a percent of GDP and look, just not meaningful. The surprise policy package in this budget are the cuts to the lowest personal income tax rate from July next year. They're projected to help keep total revenue over the next 4 years below the 23-24 peak of a smidge under 26% of GDP. That area is sure to be a debating point, as is where the government has chosen to spend some of its additional revenue. Which brings us to the strategic frame. The budget continues to message many of the areas of fiscal focus that have evolved over the past handful of years. Cost of living, household energy bill rebates are being extended to the end of calendar 2025. There's an additional $4.8 billion for health in the next 2 years, and of course the tax cuts, which extend over the coming few years. There's some more on housing. And there's some focus but not material new funding for the future Made in Australia policy that is a response to the more uncertain strategic environment. And as such, the budget mostly delivers into the pre-existing streams of strategic intent, albeit perhaps a bit more narrowly than in recent years. The rails for the debate have been set down, which brings us back to today. The Australian economy has been recovering gradually since last year's low point, and our expectation is that will continue over 2025. At the margin, the budget makes us more comfortable with those expectations. Consumer spending is a key driver of the recovery, and the tax cuts announced in the budget provide an additional fillip. Monetary policy, as a consequence, remains in a very modest easing cycle. We expect only one more cut in August. Global factors occupy most of our attention when we consider what might drive the bank to deliver a bit more easing than that. And those global factors are sure to feature in the news flow over the next 8 weeks.